Welcome to The Other Side, Mississippi Today's political podcast. I'm Jeff Pender, joined here today with my colleague Bobby Harrison.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Bobby. And we have two special guests today. We have Fire Chief Mark Whiteside from New Albany, also president of the Mississippi Firefighters Association. Chief, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
And we also have Police Chief Brian Myers, City of Ridgeland. He is on the legislative committee with the State Association of Chiefs of Police. Chief Myers, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you, sir.
And I have an important topic today that I believe y'all want to address, something we've talked about, kind of the fallout of something we talked about a lot last year or early this year, Bobby. The change to the state's retirement system.
PERS.
PERS. The legislature came up with what's usually referred to as Tier 5, kind of a major change trying to address the funding shortfall of the overall funding of the system. But it would appear it had some perhaps unintended consequences. And Chiefs, I'll let whichever one of y'all want to start. Maybe give us an overview of the issues y'all discovered with this new setup, and then we'll get into maybe what y'all want to see change.
Well, first of all, we don't think we're better than anybody else. We just feel like that we do a different job, and the side effects may be different from others that are in the PERS system. So that's what we want to look at. We're not here to question whether others deserve the same thing or not. That's what for them to defend.
And I guess overall the worry is this new system going to make it hard to recruit and I guess retain.
That's the
folks
concern
in your business.
And it's already difficult.
It's already
difficult
to begin
to
with,
recruit.
not
Yes.
relatively low pay. And,
Most departments are already short.
but it's a low stress job, right?
No, right. I'm only 27 years old. Look at me.
You've aged well, right?
Right.
Sure.
You've risen quickly in the ranks.
Yeah, we started hearing some of these rumblings almost immediately after they passed it, or even before they passed it. But they're wanting to change this to more like a 401k and the year. But again, what are some of the issues y'all foresee if this doesn't get changed?
Like I said, the number one thing is retention, right? In recruitment. The second thing is how long can we get them to stay with us, and then they can take that 401k base style retirement and say, all right, so I've worked here 15 years, but I want to go to another state now and work because I can make a lot more money. And so, we've invested 15 years in a person, and now all of a sudden they're saying I can make more money somewhere else, and they're going to take that. Whereas, with the PERS system like we have now, they can't do that. And, they'll stay with us more. That's kind of what I'm hearing from our folks. So what about you?
Well, my biggest point, it just keeps sticking in my head. If you hire someone at 22 years old, that's when I got hired. And you run this through all the way through 35 years, you get to 57 years old. What's the average age of death in law enforcement? 57 years old.
Oh, wow.
So you get right there to, it's time to enjoy your retirement, which is going to be meager after March 1. It's definitely different than my retirement. I'm very blessed to have gotten in on the 25-year plan, and it's not enough to support a family on. It's not enough to support just you and your wife. It's not going to work.
Not enough for retirement.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Well, explain to us how do y'all want to change the legislation that passed last session?
Well, I wish we could go back to the 25 years originally like it was,
Yes.
but, we tried that for several years and weren't successful. So now we think that, let's look at possibly getting it back to the 30 years and not the 8 years vesting, back to the 4 years.
And not a hybrid system.
Basically, yes.
You just a straight defined
Yeah,
where
right.
you pay into it and you get a set amount of money when you retire instead of a 401k. Right now, what they changed it to is a hybrid, where part of it is the direct benefit, part of it is a 401k. So that would be something separate for first responders. Is that fair to say?
That's what we're looking at, and like I said, we'll let the other groups kind of defend their stance on it. But there's so many things here to look at, and I just sat through some training a couple of weeks ago, that defended what we're saying, like what he's saying, like the chief over here said. 85% of first responders, they have mental illness at some point in their lifetime. That's huge. 65% of EMS workers, they say they don't have enough time to recover from traumatic events. And, they're part of our organization. That's what we do as a fire service now. The fire service is not just sit around and wait on a fire to happen. We're basically a multi-service agency. You don't know who to call the fire department. We do medical. We do community service. And so all these events now are leading up to mental issues. Firefighters 3 times more likely to die by suicide than they are in actually a line of duty death.
Right.
And I know the law enforcement side of it. I do have some input or some information on that because I have family members that are law enforcement, and so I can sit here and say fire and law are suffering, and they're going to continue to suffer. And we cannot expect them to get up and down off that truck for 35 years. They just can't do it mentally or physically. It's not going to happen.
How many critical incidents would you think you have experienced in your lifetime? Those incidents that stick with you, that you think about in the shower, you think about when you're laying in bed at night, they haunt you. Your heart rate rises every time you think about it.
2, 3,
We probably experienced maybe 800.
Ooh.
And there are situations that I still think about. Young children I've seen murdered, bad wrecks. It always bothers all of us when we see innocents hurt, and that I can feel it choking me up right now, and I get so worked up thinking about some of the things that we've dealt with over the years, and lost friends. My mentor was murdered.
So kind of unrealistic to think you mentioned the 22-year-old getting hired on. Probably unrealistic to think he's gonna work out.
I had a
35 years.
Not gonna make it.
Yeah.
The number that I was given from a person in the legislature was 26% of the firefighters actually make it to the 30-year. And so what's happening to the other percentage, the higher percentage? So what are we doing? What are we going to have to do to try to keep those, let alone go to 35, which I can't see the 26% staying. I see it dropping. And to kind of elaborate on what he was saying, I hear this a lot. I hear somebody say, you knew what you were doing when you signed on for it. No, I didn't. Because I signed on to be a firefighter. That's what I signed on for. And I've been doing this since 1991. Started out as a volunteer, then worked my way into the full-time ranks. I don't remember getting into the service that I signed onto to watch 2 11-year-old children die within 3 days. And this all happened just recently. Why I say this, a good friend and a coworker died from a heart attack right in front of me. I worked an automobile accident where I cut out a 4-year-old child. I lost a friend and several friends to cancer. A county firefighter became our first county line of duty death. And so I hear one of our 28-year veterans tell me, he says, I don't know how much more of this I can do. I see it take that toll, and I see a 20-year-old newcomer standing next to him, and I'm thinking, I've got this 28-year veteran saying that. How is this, and he can retire today. How is this brand new firefighter going to last 35 years doing this? I just don't see it.
Have y'all talked to, I'm assuming y'all are talking to legislators touting this plan. What type of reception are y'all getting?
Most is, we're going to do something about it. But I'm looking forward to January to see what they're going to do about it. Recruitment is already bad, and if it doesn't get better, you're going to see beats unmanned. Every department that I know of, I just left
That's
the conference.
already an issue.
Everybody's low. We are at 60 right now. We're supposed to be at 70, and you normally have about 8 people on a shift. That's an entire shift of people. That's more than an entire shift of people. So where are we pulling that from? We've got people working overtime. We've got kids that rarely go home. They just go home to sleep. They come right back to work.
Well, just in general, I know I've always heard, and it's not just first responders, it's teachers, and it's probably state employees in general. I've kind of always heard friends I know that have worked for and even retired for state government. Yeah, the pay is low, but you got that good pension system, and you can retire comparatively relatively early.
We have hired several people into the other 25-year system who got into public service because of the retirement system.
Yeah.
And it was that good, and it is good.
Sure.
But it's not going to be good March 1. It's not.
I agree.
There's not much future in that whatsoever.
And something to add to that too. We represent, fire and police represent 7% of the PERS population in the system.
Okay.
That's 7,981 roughly police officers, full-time police officers, and roughly 3,398 full-time firefighters,
Yes.
and that's 11,000 people that in 2025 out of like 145,000. We're such a small group of PERS. And so that's why we're saying, I think we can do something here for us. We do. We think that's there.
Well,
26 other states do it.
Any thoughts or communication? I mean, like I said, I think we've heard some of the very same sentiment from teachers joining forces, or I guess you wouldn't be opposed if they fixed it overall for undid some of Tier 5, I guess, for across the board.
Look at the way it's already gained popularity and crossed over lines. We've all banded together, the emergency services side of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with joining up with everybody.
Yes.
Because look at what we've done already. This is probably, I can never remember where this many organizations from fire, police, emergency services have joined together for one cause.
Right.
And I look at it like this. We're a family. We are. Now we're just like a family, and each division a child, and we move away to our own locations and do our own thing. But at the end of the day, we always come home to mom and dad. Well, Tier 5 has brought us all back home to mom and dad. We got to do something. We're here as a family now, and we're joining together as a family, and we're going to stand tight as a family.
Can you explain how it would work in a practical sense? If the first responders were carved out up to Tier 5, you'd be paying a different, because I think under the Tier 5 that there's also isn't there a different payment system than
the breakdown of the percentage?
Yeah, how
it is different. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not exact. It's 5%.
Not 9%, if I recall, or I made some notes here. 9% total coming out, 4% still going into PERS, and then 5% into a new 401k,
right?
Type defined contribution.
So how would y'all have worked out the particulars yet, and what you'd like your system, if it was carved out, how that would look?
I think that's something that we would really have to look at and work on. I know there's been some things kicked around, but I think that's really where our folks that push the numbers and the pencils would need to sit down and come up with it.
Yeah.
They've roughly put some things together and some ideas and kicked it around, but I'd hate to sit here and say something definitive, but I've got a breakdown of some of it around the other states and the way they do it, and there's different ways of doing it, and it's working for other states. So maybe we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we just need to adjust the spokes.
You said 20, 25, 26 states.
26 states is the number I've got that actually does something different.
Carves out first responders. And of course,
that's not unprecedented here.
The Highway Patrol already has.
I was going to say the Highway Patrol already. And the legislature, we should know.
Yeah, but to their defense, they did. Aren't they eliminating slurp in their system in the new legislation? I think
phasing it out.
I think
so. I don't think that applies to the Highway Patrol. And they have some sort of accelerated, when they pay in, it's time and a half instead of normal or something. So
the Highway Patrol is not but 450 people.
Right.
So it's much easier to put that together for 450 people than it would be for
kind of
almost
our
12,000.
argument for doing emergency services separate. We're only 7%.
Right.
Yeah. So kind of apples to apples and stuff like that. It's not as easy on that.
Well, I think we heard to what Bobby asked you. I think as far as support for this, I think this week we heard Speaker Jason White publicly say that he's definitely open to revisiting or the way he phrased it may have been there will be some changes to Tier 5.
He did say that.
That's what he said.
We will revisit.
Yes.
So, the talk and walk the walk. And like I said, come January, we'll see how the walk walks.
Sure.
Well, the Chiefs Association will be paying attention, and I know your association will as well. We will be there. And
like I said, we've combined and joined forces, so we're communicating like never before.
There's been more dialogue on this than anything that I can ever remember.
I think we've heard you've even got some sponsors of the legislation, from what I've heard.
Can you say who they are yet, or is that
as I recall, Senator Fillingane has already
signed
That's
on?
correct.
basically said
Yes.
he would draft it, and I'm trying to remember on the House side. I know I have heard someone.
I've heard
Bubba Carpenter, actually.
Okay.
I believe
Yes.
somebody told
He's
me.
the first responder. He's
Right,
he's
first
EMT.
responder
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
and I've talked to him several times. Of course, Northeast Mississippi, and my representative Sam Creekmore. He's very receptive, and I am yet to hear anybody say, "Nah, you don't. We don't want to talk to you about it. It's not yet." Nobody has said that yet. So,
Right.
I'm really optimistic that they are open for some discussion to try to fix this.
Well, you mentioned Northeast Mississippi, Chief, and and I'm not saying I agree with this, but a little contrarian view. Let me put you on the spot a little bit. One of the senators from Northeast Mississippi, Hob Bryan, talked about at a committee hearing on PERS a while back. I thought he had a pretty good line, as he often does. He said that there's two ways an individual can help the PERS system: work in the system as long as they can, or when they get out of the system, die as soon as they retire. What y'all be looking at? What we'd be looking at? I mean, I know you say it's only less 5% of the total PERS population,
Like 7%.
7%. Yeah, 7%.
If y'all were carved out, y'all would be drawing money from the current system, because folks like you two gentlemen definitely earned it. I mean, that's. But then the new members wouldn't be paying anything into the system at the same time, so it would put a little additional drain on the current system if y'all were carved out, and of course. The flip side of that, the legislature, the state right now has a lot of money, and they can make up the difference, and if they don't want to spend it all on tax cuts. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to respond to that, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
We've got some very good folks leading this state that are great with numbers.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. And I think they could sit down, and if anybody can figure it out, I think they could figure it out. I do have faith in it.
Tier 5, if I understand, I mean, they'll even Tier 5 still going to be paying into
the system, right?
PERS,
right. Paying
so
that
to speak.
half of yeah.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were talking about if they did ours in like a separate way. Is
Right.
that what you're?
Yeah.
And they'd have to take that into consideration.
Yeah. And for the record, Senator Bryan said he wanted to be elected as long as he could, because he wanted to have the system that way.
and hey, I feel the same way, right? I have no plans for retirement. I'd like to think that the day I retire is when they have to wheel me out.
I've done the math. I think I can retire when I'm about 93.
In the system or financially?
No. Well, look, anything else we haven't touched on with this? I know there's the COLA 13th check we could get into, and lots of other things, but
that cost of living is a whole nother subject.
right.
So,
That usually,
And it changes with the fifth tier too, right?
Yes.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's
Yes.
kind of it's at their discretion.
And I'll tell you, that's something that
That's
everyone
a
that
big
I know
deal.
of who has retired, they talk about that COLA. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Everybody likes their 13th check.
Yeah.
And it continues to compound.
Right.
So it gets bigger and bigger every year.
well, I just the mental side of it, and the physical side is, if I had to add anything, listen, I have attended way too many funerals this year alone from cancer and suicide.
And this isn't old people.
It's very. I mean, these.
Yeah.
The cancer, is 30s and 40s, and the suicide is 20-year-olds.
Yes.
And it's heartbreaking and it's discouraging, and we've got to do something to help our people. And I had a person from the legislature tell me, well, these kids aren't worried about they're not worried about their retirement. All they're worried about is what my check is this Friday. And I was that way back when I was their age. Thank goodness somebody stood up and said, you don't know really what you're saying or doing, and we're going to look out for you. So we got to look out for these kids that are coming in.
You also want to have employees that stay beyond when they turn
and
28.
So many young people now just have doubts about the system as overall, not only state system, but the Social Security. So this just adds to those doubts about whether they're going to get anything when they retire.
I never started paying attention to my retirement until about this time last year when I saw Tier 5 come out. And I thought, wait a minute now, how bad's mine going to be? And mine doesn't look that bad. And Tier 4, it's not the best, but it's better than Tier 5. And Tier 5, as a chief, I'm seeing these new guys come in, and millennials, Gen Zers, they look at things like this. They look at the benefits. They look at how much are you going to pay me to do this job, and they go to the one who pays the most and has the best benefits. Well, the one who pays the most, has the best benefits, is not in the state of Mississippi. You can go either way, east or west or north, and make more money.
One point when Texas just letting you all get them trained and then hiring all of them.
That's right. Yes. And that's very aggravating.
Do the contiguous states, what do they do? Do y'all know? Have y'all looked at it?
We've got a breakdown of, like I said, they've all got different, different setups, and the Stennis report. Probably the best thing I could say about it, if you want to look at that and compare that, go to the Stennis report and look at it to get your accurate and without just bogging down, a conversation, to get those numbers and everything on it on the way they do it, because they have actually put the time and effort into putting out a really good report.
Yeah, and where you are, you're a stone's throw from the Tennessee border anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've got folks in our area that, work in Tennessee.
Yeah.
They do. They work in Tennessee. And then, of course, go just a little bit further to the east, and I've got folks that work in Alabama, and so it's,
Muscle Shoals in that area.
Birmingham, they go to Birmingham from our area, so where they go. But like you said, it's all about the dollar, man. And when you're trying to make ends meet, well, I mean, every dollar counts.
Why shouldn't it be for they got to pay for their family?
Exactly.
This is a calling, though, and there are many people who do this work. Doesn't matter how much you're going to pay them, they're going to do it. And I can't tell you. My wife and I ate grits at night a lot. And I can cook a grit any way you can cook it, because grits are cheap.
And 2 and 3 jobs.
That's right. Always had an extra job.
Yeah, 2 and 3 jobs.
Yes.
And, and so the money, I mean, when your local agencies or local cities and counties, I mean, they're fighting to make payrolls and budgets, and then, so it's hard on them, and now the retirement, so it's hard on that, and it just seems like there's so many walls we're hitting, and finances when it comes to new trucks for a fire department. In 2005, our ladder truck was $500,000.
Oh, those things are ridiculous.
It's 1.8, and I got to replace that truck in 5 years. And I'm thinking, my goodness, where am I going to come up with the money at? So I mean, it's not just that. There's just so many other things that that we're having to deal with as far as being leaders of our departments and stuff. And there's a lot of days you just look at it and you just drop your head and you think, how long can this happen? So
when you look at it and you've got a microscope on your chest, everybody's watching what you're doing. You're not making the money. You don't have a good retirement. Your life's on the line every day. You're going to die early.
Bad hours working.
You're working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or you're working a 24-hour shift. Where's the fun in that?
At some point, people start going, hey, wait a minute.
Well, I could go do something else.
You get to run cool lights, I guess.
Yeah, that's right? It's the lights.
But, and look, and I've got three boys that are in PERS system. 1 in the 25 and 2 in the 30, and one of them is law enforcement, and I'll tell you exactly what I tell everybody. I wouldn't carry a gun today. I absolutely would not want to be a police officer. And then they turn around and say to us, I wouldn't want to be a firefighter. I don't want to go in. So like he said, it's that calling that they want to do.
It's a special person for each job.
Yeah, I told my son when he left and went, he was a firefighter, and he left and went to the police side. And I told him, I said, just go ahead and go to the dark side. Just go to the dark side. But it's a family, like I said, and we feel for them just like they feel for us. And when they bleed, we bleed.
It takes a servant's heart to do this work.
Well, Chiefs, really appreciate you coming on and talking with us about this issue. I have a feeling as we draw very close to the legislative session, this is going to be a big topic probably early on. And if we could, like to probably get you all back on to give us updates as this gets moving. But we appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your service, and look forward to talking with you soon.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.